following podcast contains adult themes such as drinking and violence. Viewer discretion is advised. All right. Welcome to Table It, a micro RPG podcast. I am Tim Patton, one of your hosts and the editor of this fine production. Table It is an excuse for me to get my friends Max, Matt, and Manny to play micro RPGs with me. With this episode, we are playing my micro RPG, the 2012 pregame challenge, and we are going to continue this episode where we left off at the edge of Lake Superior, waiting for. What do you call it?
Clucthulu.
All right. We're going to start this episode at the edge of Lake Superior, waiting for Clucthulu to rise and end the world. I'm Tim. I'm playing Jim Bob today. His pronouns are he, him, as are mine. Matt, would you introduce your character briefly again?
Yeah, I'm Matt. I'm playing Bill. Bill's pronouns are actually they, them, and mine are he, him.
I'm Manny, they, them pronouns, and I'm playing Peggy Malone, and she uses she, her.
Sorry.
Should we do that again?
Sure.
We'll go again.
I'm Manny Elliot, I use they, them pronouns, and I'm playing Peggy Malone, who uses she, her pronouns.
Thank you, Manny.
And my name is Max. Pronouns are they, them, and I'm playing Ruby. Pronouns she, her. A old lady gambler.
All right, so we're currently on a raft heading towards Oblivion. For our last round, we are going this counterclockwise. So
right.
The first thing is a problem for Ruby. Ruby, how do you solve the problem of we're almost out of alcohol?
Oh no. Okay. I think this is gonna get weird.
Hell yeah. as if me bashing oil cans with my head wasn't already weird.
Okay, so we are floating on this raft through these ice floes. And it's dark, it's cold, but somehow we have stayed warm with our lawn chairs and blankets. And maybe we took the generator with us. So we have some lights and stuff.
Yep.
And this is turning into a regular old, like, barge situation. Just, like, floating along in between these ice floes. And the Mary Poppins ass bag of bar stuff is running thin. Maybe a shot or two left in each. And that won't do. And I decide, I've got my cup here with my beer koozie on it, and I decide to see if I can stretch what I've got in there a little bit. Maybe I've got just a little bit of like Seagrams left in there. So I kind of look over the edge of the barge, and I'm like, yeah, I might as well try it. And I reach down and I swipe my cup through the cold waters of Lake Superior to give a little bit more liquid. And I take a little sip.
No.
And I go, damn, that's really good. And it turns out that the water of Lake Superior has been turned into alcohol. Or at least it has an alcoholic quality.
All right.
And
roll for it.
I think the role here is not necessarily to discover it. Maybe the role is like in another game that shall not be named. Maybe what one might call like a constitution save
Yes.
to not completely lose my cookies over this situation.
Because then that's just going to mix with the booze, and
Yeah,
that's
it's
not a good
really
situation.
bad.
All right, let's hit it.
Okay, so I think it's just me. I don't think my background as a gambler is helpful here.
I don't know. Drinking lake water on a whim feels like a gamble.
That is a
That-
gamble.
It is.
I was
Okay,
like,
okay,
well, we
okay.
said you had a high constitution
But
because
my-
of
It's not just
casinos.
lake water, it's superior. That is a gamble.
It is anyway, for sure. Especially because who knows what is beneath, what lies beneath.
Oh,
A couple of chickens right now.
Yeah, for sure.
At least for
Okay, I'm gonna do my roll. Hey, I got a 1 and a 6.
Yay!
All right, our phonometer is maxed out. We have but this one round to go, and our only goal at this point is to not pass out.
Yep. So we are surrounded by potable alcoholic water, literally lake water, loon juice, etc. has become an alcoholic beverage. I was about to say delicious. I think delicious is a stretch. I think it has something of the smell and taste of gasoline, but it's alcoholic and you can drink it and be okay. So
Excellent.
we're mixing it into drinks. As things go along, I think for Peggy, I think what starts to happen is it is you, Peggy, who notices that we have floated quite far from shore at this point. And we're all talking and laughing and drinking, and nobody really notices. But you look back and realize that we've gotten a solid, like, half a mile away from the shore at this point and are floating out into the lake at dark. And beneath you, you begin to notice that we have started to, like, turn, and a whirlpool is starting, a huge one, is starting to, like, swirl in a circle, taking our floating barge situation in a large circle. How do you help us navigate or keep stable and steady and not get sucked, down or too far away?
Ooh, that's a good question. Just going through my... See, how did they get out of this in the Broadway shows?
Also, it's night and there are stars above.
There are stars above.
It's a clear night.
It is.
Clear night, December 31st.
December 31st, 9 p.m. Rent.
Yeah.
I'm unfamiliar.
I think oh God, I would be willing to accept help if anyone has ideas.
I do.
Okay.
Because this actually is a sailing trick. There's a type of anchor called a floating anchor. And all it really is you drop a bag in the water and use the water resistance to either hold yourself in place, slow you down, or stop a turn.
I like that. So
You have a carpet bag of holding.
Yep, that's what I
Yeah.
was saying. I was like,
And all the booze is taken out of it.
Yeah, we established we
Yeah.
drank it all.
yeah, I think I reach in for another bottle of booze and notice that there's just like a shot in it. I take that shot and I look down and I say, well, Baggy, well, Mr. Sorry. Oh, well, Mr. Baggins, I'm glad you're here with me at the end of all things. And I take off one of
Fucking
my
hell.
scarves and tie it to Mr. Baggins, and I chuck it out. And then I said, well, if we're going out the way, doing what I love, and that is singing. And I lead everyone in the a rousing rendition of Under the Sea from the Broadway musical.
I'm smacking oil cans, giving us our calypso
Love
sound.
it. Let's
But the
steal
seaweed
Jeremiah.
is always greener
Oh
somebody
my
else's
God.
leg. Yeah. Just drunk. She takes her bra off at this point and is like, under the sea.
Oh my God, amazing.
All right, hit it.
Mr. Baggins. Jesus Christ.
So it's 2, right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
A 6 and a 5.
Hey.
Too bad those critics can't see me now. Don't you
Right?
know?
Ruby stands up, also has taken her bra off, and is joining you in reckless abandon.
I think we're shooting the empties out over the lake.
Yep, for sure.
The bra slingshots.
Yep.
Patwang.
Ba-doing!
So we are slowed down by a bag anchor, And what is the next problem that?
Oh, I forgot I had to do this part.
That Bill needs to assist with.
I think. Yeah, I think in the commotion, Peggy, tits akimbo, goes over the side of the raft.
Oh, no.
And plunges
No.
into the icy water.
Oh no.
Oh, now I am under the sea.
Okay, before I go too much further, this is a serious question. Mm-hmm. Did you tie your scarf to the raft, or were you holding it?
I tied it to the raft.
Okay. Without hesitation, Bill jumps in to get you. However, Bill also grabs the scarf and holds on to it in just a loose enough grip that he can slide down to wherever the bag winds up and have a grip on the raft and still be able to reach you.
Nice.
Great, love it.
It's not so much the getting you back on the raft and getting to you that's the issue here. The issue is we get out. It's mostly ice-covered water in the at the end of December in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. Hypothermia is going to set in quick.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
So immediately it's like, what are we going to do? And that's when I have the bright idea of, well, the clothes are bad at this point, and the lake is alcoholic. Everyone stand back.
Oh no.
Oh, no!
Oh fuck me.
Can I pause real quick? This is going to be metal as hell when Cthulhu rises from a flaming lake. Please continue.
Well, I didn't think...
Amazing.
Cluck through.
Cluck
Excuse
Cthulhu.
me. Yeah. Cluck Cthulhu.
What I was going to do was say I was just going to pile the now drenched clothes in the middle of the raft and light those. I like your idea better. I flip out the Zippo, click it, and dump it.
Oh, God.
Do we have like a full-on Lake Erie pollution situation where like the surface of the water is now?
You're the one who said it's
I
alcoholic.
made this up. I didn't think about the physics.
I think so. It's got to be that, right?
Well, here's the
Yeah.
thing. I flipped the Zippo.
Yeah, you
Yep.
flipped it.
Does anybody else want to assist
God
me on
damn
this?
it.
Oh my god.
I say you shouldn't take it because you are not drunk.
I think if you jump, or if they jump into the lake full of like alcohol.
I was saying to increase the chances of not getting a 6. Rolling less dice will increase the chances of your
That's
character
true.
being intoxicated.
All right. Yeah.
So I don't flip the Zippo. I just drop it.
You just drop it.
A 2.
Oh.
You get more drunk. But luckily, our phonometer is full, so we don't have to worry about that. But
Short version of what happens is I swallowed a little more of that lake water than I thought I did.
Oh no.
I dropped the Zippo, and it lands on the raft.
Oh no.
oh no, is that my problem now?
No, it's just a Zippo on a raft.
Oh, okay.
There's
it wasn't,
nothing.
Oh, it
Yeah.
didn't. Okay.
I didn't flip it, so I forgot to light it.
I see. Okay. So no fire. You rescued Peggy, but no fire is produced.
No.
Okay.
it.
All right. What is the problem that Jim Bob needs to solve? It is our last problem.
The last problem is you now have 2 absolutely shivering barmates on the barge with you.
Okay.
Wow, there's still a whirlpool.
Yeah.
But it's slow, and depending on how the bag would work and how the physics of it go, it could have pulled us out of it. But either way, it is slowing us down enough that
I think the whirlpool is big enough and fast enough. It's
Well,
like
and
the
I'm
whole-
assuming the whirlpool is from Cthulhu
Yes,
rising.
yes.
Yeah.
now. So, question about the whirlpool in this case: Are we talking full on like Pirates of the Caribbean, like
Yes.
Oh,
giant
we're on the
funnel?
side?
We're on
Yes,
the side.
yes.
We can see the
further it's
bottom.
going on.
Yep.
Yes.
So that is now the problem. Is the barge? The barge has gone from horizontal to vertical.
We can see the deep chickens at the bottom forming a pentagram.
The barge has gone from horizontal to vertical.
So I think what Jim Bob is gonna do now that we're horizontal, he's going to take all of our we made a bunch of we made a roof out of those hazmat suits.
That's right. I forgot about that.
He's quick as the thing starts to tip, and he's just going to like start bending the frame to make this thing into more of a sail shape, so we have a nice hammock to sit on.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to roll the 1 dice for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to assist me? Anyone?
I would assist you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
with my hot wiring ability, maybe
Yeah.
immediate frame
yeah.
prep.
So you know how to damage metal the right way.
Yeah. I'll help you.
So Jim Bob and Ruby are now bending the frame to create us
Across your forehead.
a little hammock set. I've rolled a 4. That's a success. We have now bent the frame. We are now sitting on a series of people-shaped hammocks overlooking a whirlpool as a horrible monstrosity. It's yellow and green in the wrong ways, covered in tentacles, and we just see this like little red like mohawk poke out through the wall of the bottom of this whirlpool, and then you see one feathered wing and another feathered wing, and slowly standing up through this whirlpool, towering, give or take 40 stories, it's Cthulhu. And he screams a horrifying scream. Fade to black. Credits roll.
As we fade out, Peggy holds up her beer koozie, now full of lake water, and begins. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind?
We all join in.
Should old acquaintance in days of old.
All right.
Now's the credits.
Excellent. That was our post.
That's the soundtrack. That's the soundtrack to the credits. is
Yeah, definitely.
The drunken people trying to harmonize.
Trying to harmonize, and then it like stops, and you just hear the lappings of the waves of Lake Superior.
Ooh,
Like it stops suddenly.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing my role-playing game.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you, Tim.
totally.
This was fun.
All right. And we will come back for our review section. Here's the review section of the 2012 pregame challenge. And because I wrote the game, I'm not really going to participate in the review that much. But we're going to start with likes and dislikes. And Max, why don't you go first? What did you like and not like about this game? Feel free to be as rude as you like. I want to get that criticism.
Yeah. Well, and just to be clear for all, and especially to our listeners, like, we do not have an investment in being mean or cruel or rude in any way about our critique. So this is all in good fun. So a thing that I liked, I love the concept, right? The idea of these cast of lovable characters ending up in this crazy situation. So many games around the apocalypse are all about trying to survive it or trying to stop it, and instead just leaning into it, and the goal is to have a good party. I think is great. I think something that I wouldn't say I disliked it, but something I struggled with was the kind of framing and purpose of the funometer and the drunkometer. It was I had a hard time detecting the impact of those. For me, I ended my my drunk ticks with only 2 of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then throughout, like, we never hit a point where the funometer or the drunkometer, like, made a difference, I don't think. So it was a little bit tough for me to, in this run through, to wrap my head around what the impact of those things are.
All right,
and
yeah.
I think that would be an interesting thing in writing it or editing it that could be clarified.
All right, cool.
Cool. I will second Max's sentiments. I love the concept. I love not surviving the apocalypse. I think it's hilarious. I like how like open character design is. It's something that I like really enjoy, where you pick one or two things that your character is good at, and then you can kind of futz with it as much as you want to in game. And I really like having that flexibility and the creativity. I had a little problem with the funometer as well, but I do think that part of that is we weren't playing with the pint glass, because I do think that is an element that we missed at the table, of actually pouring the shots into it and having the big release of like, oh, it overflowed, and that being the setup. But I also understand why you don't want to do that in a table full of electronics. That seems like a bad idea.
Right.
I do think if this were to be published, having like an image of like how that would work would be super helpful, because like just reading it, I was like, this is a little confusing for me, especially since we weren't using it. But I really like the simplicity of the actual mechanics and how like rules light it is. And how it's easy to kind of like get an extra dice just by like how much you want to say how your abilities would benefit the situation. And I feel like we all pushed that pretty far.
It rewards pushing the boundaries out. Like, oh, this is a gamble. Okay, that means my background as a gambler applies.
Yeah. But I really like that, and I think that's a strength of the game, especially since the concept is like we're all like drunk and like getting drunker, and drunk people are very brave and like have an amount of unearned confidence.
Absolutely.
All right, I got it. You're going 3 for 3. The setting, the concept behind the setting is fantastic. It's the idea that the apocalypse is coming. Okay, we've accepted it. We're not going to lay down with paper bags over our heads. We're gonna find good seats to watch it happen.
Yeah.
It's just there's something irreverently fun about this, especially considering the reference at the very beginning of we'll leave the actual like post-apocalyptic stuff to the people who are good at it. We're not them. It's just there's something a lot of fun about that. And to follow that up, the main mechanic is something that we've actually been using in RPGs for years, and we call it the montage mechanic. And it's a really easy way to, as a mechanic for any given RPG, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's an easy way to get people involved in role playing. You just kind of go around the table as the GM and say, okay, so as you're going through this, you have so much time. What's the problem that you guys come up against? And then you go to the next person and you say, okay, so how'd you fix that? No roles necessary. It's all based on role playing. And to have a game based entirely on that concept is just way too much fun. It works out really well. It's a slight drawback if you don't have a table of people who are good at improv. But the entire concept is you have people, not just characters, but people with unearned confidence playing this game.
Right.
That's what this is supposed to be. It's fun and it works incredibly well. For dislikes, I'm actually going to move straight into the next section of what would I change on the game.
Yeah.
And like I was saying before, off mic, the only things I would change about this game are the math. The first one is using that drunkometer like you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's impossible for your character to pass out. You cannot drink enough in this game to pass out and let your character go down. So there's no real, as it stands, there's no reason to be there.
Uh-huh.
Like
So to clarify, for my understanding, like in a 4-player game like this, and the fact that we're all rolling multiple dice, the odds of you rolling.
No, here. Let me explain.
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just help me understand
For
what you mean.
every single game, you have a 4-tick clock. You have 4 rounds. Each player rolls once per round. And if you fail every single round or roll within the 2 to 5 range that gets you
Still
drunk,
4 or 5.
at the most you can drink is 4.
Oh, right.
So you cannot ever fill in that 6th one and thereby pass out.
Yeah, it just completely slipped my mind. I spent so long working on the math to make sure that the phonometer was at the right timing so that the game was close but not too close. Completely forgot that I should also pay attention to the drunkometer.
I see.
It's as simple as changing it from 5 boxes to 3.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you have that slight stress of, oh no, I might actually pass out.
Right.
And it does happen towards the end of the night. It still feels right and it feels
Narratively
appropriate.
satisfying, even if you do
Right.
fail.
Right.
And then the follow up to that is again on the math. The phonometer is, as a pint glass, it's a lot more interesting because nobody pours shots the same way. Some people are going to try and fudge it and fill it a little more to try and get that little bit extra into the pint. Some people are going to pour it a little bit lighter because they want the game to go longer. So that right there is a fantastic idea. However, if we go with the 10.6 repeating shots,
Yes.
so an 11-tick clock for the phonometer on a table where you can't have liquid, and we use that as kind of the basis here. For a 4-player game, like you said, it worked out great. On a 3-player game, if as a table you fail twice, you have lost.
Yeah.
You do not have enough time in the night to do it.
Right.
In a 5-player game, when you've already filled in 1 clock, you now have 15 rolls to make 11 successes. So it's still doable. It's a little more stressful, but as it stands, the game is balanced perfectly to get that feel you were looking for at 4 or 6 players.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one I actually don't necessarily know how to fix.
We could potentially have it so that like I said, this was a game that I wrote in a week with the intention of never touching again, and I'm going to change that 5 to a 3 and release it. But I think if I wanted to make it more balanced, I might switch it so that if you have a 3 or a 5-player game, you throw an extra shot into the glass before you start.
Oh, that.
And I think that might balance it enough that you're not so close to failure by missing just a couple rolls. Although the odds, most people are rolling, 2 or 3 dice for each roll because it's very easy to. Even if you have no relevant talents, what you're doing, you can get an assistance from someone. So you're almost always rolling 2, which means that your chances of success are like 50% on. Or no, with 2 dice it's 75%, because a 4 or 5 or 6 are all successes. So yeah, the basically, like, most people are not going to actively fail most rolls. But speaking of things that I want to change, I think one thing I'm looking back on and going, okay, this is a difference, is I wrote success for a 4 through 6. That's a success, but I don't think that's true. That's not what happens. On a 4 through a 6, your character had fun. And I think that's actually what's happening. And I might just leave the montage as is, and you say what you do and it's successful. But did you have fun and get drunk?
That would be really cool and powerful. Because then you avoid this like failure state of like, okay, well, let's say I describe what I do and I roll poorly and I fail. Okay, we've seen that in RPGs many times. What if instead it just is successful, and the changes how you and others in your group maybe feel about it?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if a potential way to fix that math with like a 3 or 5 person game is like, if you roll a 6, you get to do a double shot into the pint glass, but you can only do it like once per game or something like that.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
So like you have to choose, like, you had the most fun doing this one thing, and because of that you get 2 shots, but everyone only has like 1 double shot per game on a 3 or 5 or something like that.
Might be.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how the math worked out, but the drunkometer, I was like, oh, I can't fail.
Yeah,
Was
that was a complete whiff.
interesting.
It's an absolute mistake.
Yeah, but I also think, I don't remember who brought it up, but like someone brought up like if you help someone and they fail and like get drunk, then you also have to take off your drunkometer. That might be a fun thing to do as well. So there's more.
More chances to get sloshed.
I feel like we
Yeah.
could. I feel like at this point, with the one small fix, this is a perfectly fine micro RPG, and then you can release an expansion page
Yeah.
with optional rules to make it more difficult or easier.
Or less, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and it's perfectly fine to be like, this is a 4-player game. Like many games are just like, you cannot play this without 4 people.
Yeah.
And like maybe that's what this is, and then if an expansion is needed, then here's options for a 3, 5, 6-player game. I think is very warranted.
Something that since I think we've kind of slid into section 2 of the review, is something that we would change. Something that I would change is actually, I think we've covered the math stuff pretty comprehensively, but something that I would change, and I struggle with this with all GM-less games, is I think we had a really fun, clever, creative concept, and I also think we had a really fun, creative setting. I mean, I think especially if you're a person who lives in the Twin Cities or is familiar with like Minnesota life and culture and you know, road trips up to the North Shore and stuff, I think it would all feel like really true and vibrant. However, I do think in a GM-less game, it can be really tough to pin down how the scene is supposed to feel, like things that are happening. It kind of falls to the person who's defining the problem to define at that point the setting and where you guys all are and what's happening. So I know at one point I kind of like riffed on the idea of like, okay, we make it, we're heading down toward Canal Park, there's a bunch of like National Guard and military vehicles and stuff there, and there are people in hazmat suits and stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was very quick. You know, we kind of get through that and then we're in it, and then on the next round we've already left and we're somewhere else. And I feel like, as with other games, with this one, I feel like I'd want just a little bit more English on that ball in terms of a little bit more of a storytelling step in the process. And I don't know that requires a GM necessarily. I don't think there has to be anybody whose job it is to quote unquote GM the game. But some step in this that's like, tell the table a little bit about like what's going on. How does it feel? What's happening? Because I think, especially at tables that aren't as comfortable with roleplay and storytelling, this could become very mechanical.
Yeah, it'd be very easy to be like, I do this, cool. Here's your problem, cool. I do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And fortunately, all of us like love teeing up the next person for like a wild situation. So I think we all kind of leaned into it. But maybe that's part of it. Like, you know, there needs to, part of the game is like lean into the storytelling.
Yeah. One of the things I have in the rules is the player most comfortable with improv goes first. And like, I think if you don't have anyone at your table who's comfortable with improv, you're kind of stuck. This is definitely not a beginners only RPG.
Right.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it could be. This is definitely like an improv group. Like, there's any number of improv theater groups that would absolutely love this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would absolutely use this. That's on the next bit. I'm not going to go for that.
I was gonna say we're about to move on here, unless anyone else has anything they're interested in changing.
I
What
was
is
going to
the
bring
next-
up. There's a
The next bit is on
Is that just
tabling and shelf.
okay?
Yeah.
I do have a thing, but finish your thought, Matt.
There was something for you, Max, about the. There's a single sentence in here about fill 1/4 of the doomsday clock and move to the next location.
Oh, yeah.
And we
didn't do that.
completely glossed over and through that and completely left it behind because that's the way this table worked it.
Yeah, like based on the like original intention, I assumed that people were going to be like traveling to the final location. Like I've noticed that like people like, that I played this through a couple times and everybody's like, okay, this is what the apocalypse is and this is where it's happening. This is how we're gonna get there. Like is always laid out right away, and we like that we did that the exact same way that it worked previously, which is convenient. I mean, I might be a common factor. I don't know. But
Maybe.
the idea of this being a kind of road trippy sort of feeling was kind of intentional, but like the having a different location per roll, I don't think was necessary, but it is written in there. So
I don't
it's
think
not
it
even
was
per roll; it's per section of the clock.
per section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessary for us, but going back to what you said, Max, of like if you have people who are a little bit more uncomfortable with like storytelling and kind of like setting up, then I think that could help them of like, okay, we're all at Canal Park for the next hour, and then the next hour we get to the dock, and then the next hour we're on the lake.
Yeah.
I could see that helping out someone who maybe wasn't as comfortable with improv, but
actually-
player's discretion.
Yeah.
Hang on, I played the game wrong. In the section of setting up the doomsday clock, you're supposed to label each of the sections. And I
Oh.
completely whiffed on that. I just sort
Label
of
each
pushed us
section.
between locations just intuitively because I've played this before. But like,
sure.
Yeah, technically in the creating the doomsday clock, you're supposed to label the sections.
Okay, that kind of flips around what I was saying then, because at that point, if as a group you've already established the locations that you're going to be going to in each round, I think that does do some of the legwork in terms of setting the players up for success, of having like a fun role-playing scene at each location.
I agree with that because, furthermore, it also would I feel like help the players like figure out the problem for the next person. If like, okay, we're at this place and this is the goal to get us from this place to the next place, then you're gonna set me up so I can set up Matt, who can set up
Right.
Tim, and then like by the time we all go through, we've accomplished that goal. So everyone's kind of like
Right.
doing a little piece to like accomplish the goal, and like
Yeah.
I like what you're saying there.
Whereas
Max.
as it was, I think because we didn't do that, it was kind of carte blanche of like,
Yeah, for sure.
Every not just every round, but every role became like fully open season on what you
Yeah.
wanted to do. And that's where I kind of would have, in this gameplay, I would have wanted a little bit more of a GM guidance on, not to put it on rails, but to help
Yeah.
tell the story.
Conveniently, we ended up basically with 4 locations.
We did.
Yeah.
We did actually.
So we have Minneapolis, we have the road, we have Duluth, and then we have the lake. So like we end up with 4 locations. But like I said, this
There's a
is
lot of mini locations.
a lot of
in
mini
all those
locations.
locations.
Definitely didn't lock in. And this is the thing. It's like I was overconfident. I wrote the game. I didn't reread it. You know.
Totally fair and understandable. The one last thing that I will say, and
Yeah.
then I think I'm done, is Matt and I talked about this a little bit of like, I kept wanting to like give Tim problems, and Matt kept wanting to give Max problems. And so like if you're doing that whole clockwise one time, counterclockwise the other time, there's in a 4-person game, there's at least one player that you're not getting to
Yeah.
play with.
That's true.
And so I wonder if, like, there could be a way where, like, you do counterclockwise once and then clockwise the other time, and then you have to go across from the person, and, like, you can't give a problem to the person that gave it to you. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that, but some way
Yeah.
to, like, break out of that, like, clockwork, counterclockwork, because if you have an even number, you're not going to play with someone, and I think that could be fun.
That is definitely one of the things I was thinking about when I was creating. I was like, I don't have a concise way of saying it,
Yeah.
so I just made it counterclockwise so that we could have at least.
Yeah, it is hard.
So it's not just the same player every time, but I think you're right. That would be a thing. That was the thing I was going for and wasn't
Yeah.
able to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I mean, I think we said this at the top, but like the concept is rock solid, and especially as a light, accessible, functional micro RPG, it's definitely really strong. Like at this point, I think we're getting into detail work of math and balance and editing.
Yeah.
And visual design of the thing, and even some of the stuff around how you rotate around with players and stuff, like that's all nitpicky stuff on top of a concept that can support further revision.
All right.
And I think that that's good to point out, because the stuff we're talking about is stuff that you would maybe want to take a pass at if it was going to, or if and when you do want to publish it.
Yeah.
As far as like the way it was actually played and, does it work as a game? I thought it was great for that.
All right, so let's move on to our last section of tabling it or shelving it. I'll go first. I'm going to table it because I want to try it again. I think every time I play this, I get a better and better handle and grip on it, so I definitely want to play it again, personally.
All right, I'll be honest. I will 100% table this game. I did not think I was going to like this as much as I did, and it turned out way better than I could have imagined. Legitimately, the one fix to the drunkometer, and I will pull this out at every table I've ever played at.
I am also going to table this. I would really be interested in doing it again and playing as like one of the other groups, maybe one that was mentioned in the rules, or like the idea of like mall kids or something like really like they're just raiding the mall waiting for it to come. I don't know. That sounds great, and so I would want to definitely play it again. So I will table this.
I would like to see some edits in the file. I think for our listeners at home, since I think maybe you won't see this, we are looking at an 8x11 piece of paper, which is basically just the text of the game. I think, clearly there are some edits and revisions that need to happen here to the math, and I think there's some light massaging that could be done here in terms of rules and some guidance. And I think doing a little bit of visual aid work on the funometer and the drunkometer and how those are supposed to work, I think would be helpful. I think once I had that, like a finished file that you could buy on, Itch or Drive-Thru or whatever, something that I could hand out to new tables and have it be more visually accessible and understandable, I would absolutely table it.
All right.
Yeah. I don't think I would table it with this file.
Yeah.
I think I would want a little bit more.
That's fair. I actually agree with Max about that.
Yeah. And no shame on it, but it's obviously a draft.
What's extra fun is there is one copy of this, a single 8.5x11 that I printed out, where the formatting is slightly altered, and there's a picture of a volcano in the background, and I don't know where it went.
Oh, no.
I can't find the file. I can't find the piece of paper.
The RPG was too small. You lost it.
Yeah,
just too micro.
just too micro. Oops.
You're both fired.
So yeah, I think that's 100% table it with
Excellent.
revisions.
Yes, with revisions. And
Table
that is-
with revisions.
That is the
Yes.
plan. All right, so let's do our round of plugs. Matt, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'm Matt Lemoyne. I do not exist online unless you guys want me to. So I'll see you later.
I'm Manny Elliot. You can find me on Instagram at In Character Art, where I do portraits of D&D characters and other fun art things, and I update way less than I should to be plugging it on a podcast.
All right, and I'm Tim. Thank you for listening to Table It. You can find us at micro_RPGs on Twitter, or email us at microrpgs@gmail.com. Please submit games you would like to hear us play with the subject line New Game. Our theme this episode is Chill Vibra Jazz Theme by Danydory, and we'll see you on the next one.